There we are. There we go.
Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Sorry about that. We're having difficulties here, but we're working on it.
Wait a
Thank you
minute.
all for being patient for us for the live
Are we
chat.
live?
Appreciate it. We're live. We're live, pal. We're live, pal.
No testing?
What do you test for? We're good to go, brother.
Well, we have to make sure everybody's audio is working and video
Everybody's
and whatnot.
audios work great. You're great. I'm great.
And my
It's
picture-
Christmas, baby. Everybody.
Jeff, 20 years, and we always have preparation before we go live. My camera shot was not proper. My head was cut off.
Well, it's okay. Nobody saw anyway because my freaking overlay was having issues anyway, so it's okay.
Well, Merry Christmas Eve, I suppose.
Yes, happy Christmas Eve. Indeed, yes.
All right, so we got NXT to talk about. AEW Dynamite is actually on right now, and I'm guessing a lot of people will be watching that instead of us. But for those of you that are tuning in to watch us, thank you. We appreciate it. Let's talk about the NXT show. We kicked off with a tag team match for the NXT tag team titles. We had Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch going up against Drake Maverick and Killian Dain. Drake and Dain, they attacked Oney and Danny right before the match. So we went straight to the races with this street fight. Now, Jeff, maybe you can explain this to me with these street fights. Why do they do tags during a street fight? Isn't it anything goes? What's the deal?
Yeah, you would think they'd have it be a tornado tag or something and actually label it as such, because during a street fight, generally speaking, anything is supposed to go. So why would you bother with the formality of tagging your partner if you can just go in there and be willy-nilly and kick ass? To me either, boss.
You there?
You lost, Jeff? Hello?
Yeah,
Hi?
you're back now. You cut out for a minute.
Okay, so what I was saying was, yeah, it really doesn't make sense that they would have tagging in a no rule situation. If you can not tag your partner and just kick ass whenever you want, why bother?
Right. We do have a $2 super chat here from Power Packers 90. He says, "Still did not watch NXT because my Bucks were on TNT."
Well, I am so glad that the Milwaukee Bucks are on TNT, superseding the Young Bucks. Shows how much TNT thinks of AEW.
Is that what the game was? Is that the
Milwaukee and I forget who played. Yeah, but it was the Milwaukee. Ironically, it was the Bucks. So they're haha there.
Well, thankfully, you're here to let me know about the sports, because it would all just go whoop right over my head.
Pretty much, yes.
So anyways, I'm not understanding the whole street fight thing. And we had a street fight on Raw, same thing, where people were not bothering to just let it be a tornado tag. If it's a street fight, anything goes. Why are you standing on the apron waiting for a tag? It made no sense to me. And I thought the match was okay, but wasn't great or anything. And especially when we're coming off the TLC pay-per-view and Raw, where they're doing all these matches with people going through tables and whatnot, I was just kind of over it.
Yep.
And on top of that, you had two tables set up on the outside of the ring by Killian Dain. Take a wild guess as to who went through the table. Well, he actually did not go through the table. That's the thing. Killian Dain got knocked off the apron, and he landed on the table and just fell over. So the table did not even break. I am the table. Going to be on a future episode of Botchamania for sure. And we had the cricket bats brought into play, just like at NXT TakeOver War Games. Yep. We had a belt being used during this street fight, and eventually Drake managed to make a comeback, hitting some low blows, which were totally legal in this street fight, naturally. But then he got hit with a low blow, which is weird to me because the low blow is usually what the heel does to win a match. So basically, Drake just got what he had coming. He hit the low blow first, and then they hit one on him. And then Drake got pinned with the DDT, and afterwards, Dain helped Drake out of the ring. And I remember a couple months ago they were hating each other, so I guess now they're friends and whatnot. But yeah, the match really didn't do much for me. Any other thoughts you had on it, Jeff?
No, just like you said, the whole thing with the table was wonky. It was almost as bad as the finish where the Big Show put his foot through the table and he lost.
Yeah,
That was funnier in hell though. Yeah. But yeah, this one was more cringe than it was funny. So
yeah, I think that Big Show stepping on the table has to be the most outlandish finish for a tables match I've ever seen in my life.
And for the title with that, which made it even worse.
What title was on the line in that match?
Intercontinentals against Cody.
Oh yeah. No wonder Cody left. I mean, he got the victory, I guess. So hey, that's something. But still, when you're winning matches because a guy steps on a table, maybe it's time to go elsewhere and start your own promotion.
Right.
Anyways, we had a bunch of segments throughout the evening. It was a very Gargano Christmas, and they were in the home of Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. Indy Hartwell was there. You had Austin Theory there. You had all the Christmas stockings. Johnny was playing piano. They opened some presents. Austin Theory got this Gargano branded protein powder, which he enjoyed very much. He was eating cookies, but Johnny had to make sure that he's getting his protein in with that present. And we had several of these segments throughout the evening, which we'll get to. Absolutely. And we had a video package for Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly. That match is coming up in 2 weeks at the New Year's Evil show. Kyle talked about how Balor is a guy that he was just born to wrestle. Like the two of them, it feels like they're destined to wrestle against each other. He then brought up how he injured Balor at the TakeOver 31 pay-per-view and said next time he's not just going to shatter his jaw, but he's going to shatter his legacy. Any prediction you have for this match? How hyped are you for this?
I'm actually looking forward to it. I've been a fan of O'Reilly for a long time. I think he's definitely him and Fish are both not underappreciated, but definitely undervalued in the Undisputed Era. And I think that Balor hopefully is coming back into his own again as a champion. And I hope that I think he and O'Reilly have a good match. Like I said, Balor was in the tournament to crown the new NWA champion back in 2007. So he's definitely got that wrestler background where he can, go and do a 30-minute or whatever match and, not bat an eye. So these two are definitely going to go on New Year's Evil. No question. It's going to be an awesome match. Or as a winner, we'll get to that when we get to it.
And it's going to be a pretty stacked show. We'll talk about some of the other matches here in just a few minutes. TJS sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, TJS, for that. He says, NXT feels so unimportant to me that I'm not even going to watch tonight. Raw may suck, but at least I care about it. I miss more Ronaldo. Merry Christmas, boys. Absolutely. I agree with that very much, especially the more Ronaldo part. This is to be totally straight with everybody. This is the first NXT I've watched the entire 2 hours from start to finish in probably 2 or 3 months now, pretty much since Ronaldo left. And yeah, it's just not the same. I think Wade Barrett does a very good job, but I miss Ronaldo's energy. He really made the show seem more exciting than it really was. Without Ronaldo, this just feels like the third WWE brand. Ronaldo had that ability to have that passion that made NXT feel like maybe it was a bigger deal than Raw or SmackDown. That's how into it he got. So I definitely miss him a lot. And the Cleaver, Colin Andrews, sent in a $2 super chat.
Well,
says,
but before we get to
go ahead.
Colin, let me just address Tyler's thing real quick. I noticed when Wade was still Stu Ben was working the NWA and with Joe Galli on the commentary. I love Joe Galli. Joe Galli is a wonderful guy, and I think he's a great announcer, but he doesn't have that pizzazz. And Wade, Stu, whatever you want to call him, added that to the NWA broadcast, which is why they brought him in when Jim Cornette had his spaz de jour. Wade definitely lends credibility and personality to the broadcast booth at NXT. He and Beth are doing a great job, but the play-by-play is just lacking so much without Morrow.
Yeah.
So, and yes, Cleaver says KOR to the moon. Absolutely, brother.
I still don't think he's winning the title, but it'll be a nice showcase for him.
He is either, but it would be an interesting wrinkle if they had him win and
I still think it's going to end up being Cross that gets his rematch with Balor at some point. But we'll talk more about Cross here in just a few minutes. Let's move on. We had a backstage interview with Tyler Rust and his manager, Malcolm Bivens, and Bivens said that Tyler Rust is a diamond in the rust. So there's your new catchphrase for the newcomer, Tyler Rust. What are your thoughts on young Tyler Rust so far, Jeff?
You and I are very familiar with Tyler. We've watched him for a long time out here in SoCal. We actually we saw him the last time we went to Jesse. He was working for EWF, and he's one of those guys that it was just like, okay, when is he going to get signed? And he's finally signed. He went from the Indies to Ring of Honor to WWE in the course of this year. That's how good Ryan Tyler Rust is, and he is just going to be somebody to be reckoned with. I really feel the manager thing. I don't know. I've always felt he had a good personality, but maybe having a mouthpiece will work for him because he's obviously going to be a heel. And WWE, you must have a manager if you're a heel. It's a must. So at least it used to be. So I like a chat room saying, Diamond in the Rust sounds more like a finisher than a catchphrase. So maybe he'll come up with something flashy to do for a finisher and make that the name. So that'll be awesome. But I'm so proud of Tyler, Ryan, whatever his name is. I am so happy for him, and I can't wait to see where they go with him.
And yeah, Ace in his familiar vlog says, I'm very impressed with Tyler Rust. A lot of people seem to like him, and we'll talk about his match here in just a few minutes. Right. We had Isaiah Swerve Scott, who I believe is turning heel now, going up against Jake Atlas, who had no entrance. Jake got the upper hand early on. Swerve was getting a little bit frustrated, but then he did pick up the win with the confidence boost. And after the match, he showed off his heel side. He did a crotch chop and went in for a handshake afterwards, but Atlas declined, and who can blame him after that? Nobody wants to get a crotch chop and have somebody gloat in your face like that. What are your thoughts on Swerve Scott going heel?
Not surprised. He's got that personality where a heel is better for him. And honestly, Jake Atlas is another guy that's been local out here. He got brought up in the Santino Brothers dojo, and he's a great not an unknown at this point because people know who he is, but he's not really well known yet. I think if they were to get behind Jake, he could really be something. But I think it looks like he's going to be the upper mid card job best, which sucks because Jake's way more talented than that. As far as Swerve, again, the whole Swerve Scott personality lends itself to being a heel more than a babyface. So I can't wait to see how it goes. Looking forward to it.
We have a $5 super chat from DJW. Thank you very much for that, DJ. I appreciate it. He says, in AEW, do you guys think that more upsets should happen in non-title matches and between ranked versus non-ranked matches for more intrigue? Answer at the end. Okay. Okay, we'll answer that at the end. Maybe we'll talk about AEW. Maybe by the time we're done with this, some of AEW will have aired and we can talk about the results a little bit. I did turn it on right before we started and Jericho was out there for the tag match. But we'll talk a little bit about AEW at the end. Anything else, Jeff?
And thank you, DJ, for actually sticking to the topic and saying wait till the end. That was a good job. See? These people are paying attention, Aaron. They're starting to fall in line with you, Chief.
Yeah, it's TJS that we still need to get in check.
Well, I got Santa on speed dial. He's working hard, but I'm telling you, Tyler, watch it.
Yeah, you might get Cole.
That's
it. Santa might call an audible.
He's leaving soon, brother, so you never know.
We had all right, so here's something to talk about. This is maybe the biggest news out of NXT. Well, there were a couple of news bits to talk about. So Velveteen Dream is back. I think he was gone for like a month or so. He seems to be coming in and out every month or two ever since the accusations came out back in June. And Dream had a funny line talking about Adam Cole. He cut this promo on Cole and Strong. They were backstage, and Dream said how the mighty have fallen. And Cole was like, coming from this guy, basically. And Dream called Cole a cheerleader, and Cole slapped Dream and challenged Dream to a match for the main event. And yeah, I looked on Twitter, WWE's Twitter account, look at all the replies, and people are not letting go of this, Jeff. They are still they've canceled Dream, and they're not changing their minds.
We live in an age now, Aaron, and you have been around long enough to see the curve widen tremendously on this. Once you are in that doghouse with the internet wrestling community, it's very hard to get that door unlocked and get out of there. Very hard.
Yeah. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, will people boo Dream once crowds are back? If Dream even still is working for WWE when crowds are back, which I'm not even sure he'll still be around. Like I'm a little surprised WWE hasn't just cut their losses with him. Like they're clearly not wanting to push the guy. So why keep him there? Like, I don't think AEW is going to sign him. You know, I don't think they're going to want to get involved in that drama. Jeff, what are your thoughts on Dream and how crowds will react?
Reason they keep him for the same reason they came Lars around, because for some reason both those guys have that look that whatever Vince likes, that he doesn't want to cut them loose completely. Like, I don't understand either one of them still having a job. But
all right, we'll talk more about Dream here in just a few minutes. I'm hoping that everything on your end is turning out okay for people, because you keep cutting out for me, so I'm not sure what the deal is.
Just full disclosure, we're at my brother's house and we're using his internet, so it may not be the best. So if I cut out, I apologize, you guys. I'm sorry.
So far, nobody has said anything in the chat room. So if you're
somebody said I froze for 10 seconds earlier, so it's fine.
Okay, if your video is perfectly clear, then I'm going to look foolish. But yeah, just let people know there might be an issue.
Might be a glitch or two, folks. Don't worry, we'll get together.
It is live. Things happen.
We're live, pal. That's it.
All right, so we had Tim Thatcher in a backstage promo talking about how his lesson with Tommaso Ciampa is not complete, and he wanted to fight the other week, but Ciampa just walked away from him, showing him no respect, and he's going to make an example out of the young man, the young upstart known as Leon Ruff. And we'll talk about that match in just a few minutes. Tom McCarthy with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, do you guys like how AEW and NXT are at different times? Yes, I strongly prefer them being on separate nights. I think NXT should be on Tuesday nights and AEW should be on Wednesday nights, but that's just my opinion. However, I think a lot of people would agree. Your thoughts, Jeff?
Well, I watch them at different times anyway, because I generally, depending on what show we're going to cover with you and I'll watch that show on the East Coast feed through some other means of watching the shows. And then at 8 o'clock, I'll watch the show that's quote unquote live to the West Coast, either NXT or whichever one I haven't watched yet. So for me, it's no real big transition. But for you guys out in the East Coast, I'm definitely believing you guys are loving that, because you get, basically 5 to 7 for NXT, and then once AEW, once TNT's done with the basketball,
I heard a crash.
About the wrestling, so it's probably great for you guys. And Psycho Jet Black is windy as a mother effer right now, which is probably why the power keeps fluctuating on my show, because it's windy as hell. So I apologize. Yeah, we lost power at my house today. It's been out all day. They cut us off again. So
that's.
Be glad you're gone, boss. Tell you that shit right now. It's terrible.
That is unfortunate. All right. Hopefully you're able to stick with us for the rest of this.
We'll be okay.
We had Rhea Ripley versus Dakota Kai in a one-on-one match, and Kai went after Ripley's arm, sending it into the post, and Ripley ended up putting on a submission, and this is when Raquel Gonzalez came down to the stage and tried to distract Ripley. Thankfully, Ripley did not break the hold and start acting like a stupid baby face. She kept the hold on, but Kai was able to get to the rope. And Kai picked up a near fall using an interesting move. It was like a Canadian destroyer, but she hit a backstabber. So I like the variation of it. That was pretty cool. However, Ripley did pick up the victory, hitting the riptide and putting away Dakota Kai. And after the match, Gonzalez got into the ring, and you had the classic pull-apart brawl. The referees, the producers, all these people were trying to break them up and keep them apart, but they kept breaking through and continuing to fight. Anthony sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Anthony. He says, where are the no DQ&A videos, Aaron? Love the channel. Well, thank you for the comment, and I'm glad you're watching. I just got burned out on doing it, and people were not sending in a lot of questions, so I think maybe it just ran its course. And if people really want it back, let me know. Maybe I'll bring it back, and maybe I'll do a live stream. I did enjoy doing the live streams, and it's been a while since I've done a live Q&A on Skype. Unfortunately, even though I was having fun with it, there were people trolling, and that made it a little bit difficult. But yeah, I was doing the Q&As for like 9 years and something like 1,150 videos. That's a lot. And I might bring it back at some point, though. You know, after a while, you end up talking about the same thing over and over again. People send in the same questions, and I felt like I was getting a lot of duplicates, and maybe at some point.
It could be also, Aaron, the fact that I'm doing, my show simulcast on your channel also. I do the same thing for Talk Wrestling. So it may be that they're just, they're getting their Q&A fix out of me on Mondays, which I don't have a problem with. But, if you guys want to hear back, please let us know. And, if there's enough positive feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. I just go by what the people want and what there seems to be interest in.
That's it, brother.
And we have a $2 super chat from OG Crushes. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He says, that was Dakota Kai's finisher, the chiropractor. Is that what it's called?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Is that what it's actually called?
I believe so.
Oh, all right then. Well, I like the name of it. I did not know that was the name of it, if that's the case. We had another Christmas segment with the Garganos and company, The Way. I guess that's the name of his faction now. Indy Hartwell.
It is The Way.
Indy Hartwell has now been proclaimed Indie Wrestling. That's her new moniker. What are your thoughts on this one, Jeff? Indie Wrestling.
Yeah. It was one thing with Johnny because it was organic. It was another thing with Candace because that's his wife, and it's cute, and it's all too much.
We had Toni Storm, who was interviewed, and she vowed to win the NXT Women's title. She even brought up how she beat Io Shirai in the Mae Young Classics, a nice little throwback to the past. And I'm thinking Io's going to keep the title for a long time. It seems like WWE is very high on her in NXT. But who do you think will be the person to beat her? I'm feeling it's going to eventually be Raquel Gonzalez. But what are your thoughts, Jeff, on who's going to dethrone her?
That seems to be the path they're on. Somebody up there earlier mentioned Raquel is a modern-day Diesel, and it seems like she's going that path as far as she's a wrecking machine, and she's going to start going through and accumulating wins and dominating people. So it wouldn't surprise me if she's elevated to that Diesel level and becomes the NXT Women's Champion by Mania, maybe sooner.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you very much for that. He says, will Johnny Gargano stay in NXT until he retires? You'd have to ask him that question. I hope he'll show up on the main roster, but I feel like he's not itching to go, and maybe he sees what's happening with the Retribution guys, seeing what's happening with Dominik Dijakovic, who's a guy you would think would get a big push on the main roster and would not be given some stupid gimmick that's just burying him 6 feet under. So yeah, maybe he feels NXT is perfectly fine. He's making good money. He's getting to have fun with it. And hey, you're making money, you're having fun, then you're set.
Yeah, Johnny and Tommaso both said they will leave if they get called up. They both said that more than once.
Yeah, so. Well, I think with a big enough pay bump, maybe they would reconsider that. Is
maybe I don't know. Like you said, they're watching the main roster guys get obliterated coming up. So if I'm them, I stay.
Let's see here. We had a video package for Xia Li and Boa, and they've been doing these videos with them over the past several weeks. What are your thoughts on what's going on with her, and do you see potential in her on NXT?
I did when they first brought her in a long time ago. I just don't. They kind of fall flat for me.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the gimmick at this point. I guess I'll have to wait and see how it plays out, but the video packages have not really done much for me up to this point. We had Bronson
which is
Reed.
complete opposite of what they're supposed to. They're supposed to generate interest, and they're not doing that for me. So,
absolutely. We had Bronson Reed come out for his return match. He's been gone for a couple of months. I like the presentation with the Titantron and everything, kind of like Godzilla or King Kong with his entrance. However, I'm not a fan of the lizard doll or whatever it is around his neck. I think it just looks too cartoonish. Kind of reminds me of like Mantar. Not as bad, but yeah, I would drop the doll around his neck. Everything else was pretty cool though. And he does have like this Vader presence to him a little bit, or a Bam Bam Bigelow presence to him that I think could go far if he continues to build up some momentum. He picked up the win very quickly. It was basically a squash match with his tsunami splash off the top. Your thoughts on Bronson Reed, how he looks and his potential in WWE and NXT?
Well, the whole lizard thing, reminded me of very, very briefly, reminded me of when Ricky Steamboat first came back to WCW Clash of the Champions in 91, had that big freaking like dinosaur thing on his head when Dustin brought him out, or whoever, I think it was Dustin that brought him out. And like for a minute, I'm like, okay, it's kind of a cool vibe, but like you said, very cartoonish, very outdated. Bronson is good. I mean, once you take this stupid thing off his head, this guy can go. Like you said, he has a Bam Bam or a Vader aura. He also has a kind of a Rhino-ish look to him. I like that about him. He has potential. And he has for a long time. He was great in the North American, for the early days of the North American Championship contender stuff. So maybe they'll put him back into that slot.
There's a comment in the chat room here. Power Packers 90 says, why would anybody want Johnny on the main? Well, he could face Daniel Bryan. He could face Seth Rollins. He could face AJ Styles. There's a lot of guys that he could have some great matches with, and it would be a change of scenery for him. I just think he's been stale in NXT, and same thing with Ciampa. Like, I want to see them in a different environment, wrestling different people, and I know they're against it, but like characters get stale after a while, and that's why the territories were so important, because guys could go to a different territory and they would be a fresh face. And when WCW and ECW were around, people could go to the different companies. When they started to get stale in one promotion, they could go somewhere else. These guys have been on NXT TV every single week, basically wrestling the same people, except for people that have moved on to the main roster. And it just feels like there's nothing really for either of them to do at this point.
I do agree with that, Aaron. But I'll never forget watching Ciampa's comeback documentary when he came back off the surgery, talking about how the grind of NXT and the Indies put him in the neck brace. Can you imagine if they go back to work full time and they're doing these 5-day loops every week or 52 weeks? Ciampa's neck will not hold up for that at all. It won't happen. So I can see Ciampa staying down in NXT, or if you want, staying in NXT. I won't say down. It's not really down. Gargano's been around longer than people realize. Like, he's not at the very beginning of his career, so he might just want to wind down NXT and and actually contribute there on that level, regardless of if he's wrestling or not.
And speaking of Gargano, we had another Christmas segment. Candice LeRae was given her present, which was the last wheel of Shotzi Blackheart's tank. Gargano searched through the garbage dumpsters and the landfills, apparently, and he found that final wheel to give to her, so she has that souvenir.
Damn.
We had Io Shirai rush to the ring. She was very upset about the comments that Toni Storm made. She sat down in a chair and demanded that Storm come to the ring. Instead, she got jumped from behind by Mercedes Martinez, making her return to the NXT brand. She dodged a bullet, man. She got out of that Retribution debacle, and good for her, because that has been death. And again, that's probably why guys like Gargano and Ciampa are like, nah, I think I'm better in NXT.
She dodged a silver wolf bullet, man. She just got the hell out of there, and good on her. God. Woo.
And yeah, adding another person. Well, she's, she was there and now she's back. It just further builds up the women's division in NXT. Strongest women's division in wrestling, in my opinion.
I was going to say, you're strengthening the NXT women's division, while the AEW women's division still is dragging its heels.
Yeah.
There you go.
We had Tim Thatcher versus Leon Ruff, a.k.a. the modern-day 1-2-3 Kid. You had Thatcher grabbing a chair, and he was trying to, I guess, get Ciampa to come down to the ring, but Ruff ended up taking advantage of this. He got an inside cradle for a near fall. His comeback was short-lived, but then he managed to, once again, with an inside cradle, roll up Thatcher and actually beat him this time. 1-2-3 Kid, surprise, shock victory again. And after the match was over, Thatcher beat him down until Ciampa finally ran out, hit a draping DDT, and then he said to Thatcher, I will see you in the fight pit. So apparently 2 weeks at the New Year's Evil, they are going to do the fight pit, which of course was the same match that we saw with Matt Riddle in Thatcher, and that was Riddle's swan song. Now, could this be Ciampa's swan song for NXT? Maybe Thatcher beats him and Ciampa finally goes to the main roster, maybe just for 6 months, maybe just for WrestleMania, fights Randy Orton, the match that I would much rather see than a match against Edge. And then once the crowds are back and Ciampa doesn't want to tour, if they even go back to doing that kind of touring again, he can always go back to NXT. But I'd love to see a Randy Orton versus Ciampa program. And, that match, the fight pit could be the way to write off certain NXT people. And Thatcher's the guy that runs people out of NXT. I kind of like that gimmick. So what were your thoughts on this and them doing this match in the fight pit?
Well, first of all, as far as Leon Ruff being the 1-2-3 Kid for 2020, somewhere Sean Waltman's Lightning Kid tights are rolling over in their crate in the garage instead of he's not dead yet. Whatever. Means to an end. Thatcher got the got the loss, and he started beating the Kid up, and here came Ciampa to save the day, the old veteran saving the Kid, and then we had the fight pit. I love the fight pit gimmick. I'm glad it ain't Riddle, because y'all know how I feel about Riddle. So Thatcher and Ciampa are going to give us something very, very special to see at New Year's Eve. I think it's going to be an awesome fight.
Hamp Connor with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. I appreciate it. He says, guys used to have the ultimate goal of main eventing WrestleMania, but now they just rather be in NXT. Damn. And he says, it's sad how things have changed. Yeah, that is pretty sad. And I'm not sure if the blame should be put on them, or maybe the blame should be put on WWE for just ruining the spirits of these wrestlers that had a dream to one day main event WrestleMania. Now they're like, nah, I think I'm good in NXT. That's something that's very telling, because back in the day, that would be everybody's dream. And the saying is, if you're not in wrestling to be in the main event, then why are you even there in the first place? And WrestleMania is the main event. But as far as a lot of these guys are concerned now, it seems it's not anymore. WrestleMania is not the end all be all.
I get told quite a bit that certain people within the inner circle up in the tower watch our show. So Vince, there you go.
All right, we had Dexter Lumis in a backstage segment. He was doing one of his drawings, and he drew Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez, last woman standing match for the upcoming New Year's Evil show. So like I said earlier,
they're stacking the show, like you said.
Yeah, it is going to be a very stacked show up against night 2 of AEW's New Year's Smash. This week was the Holiday Bash, and then next week it's the New Year's Smash Part 1, and then the New Year's Smash Part 2. It's kind of difficult to keep track of with all these special events that everyone's doing. You got the Bash, the Smash, you got the New Year's Evil, which was a name that WCW used back in the day. New Year's Evil. Do you remember that one?
I actually just finished watching December and January from that time period, and New Year's Evil was supposed to be this big thing. They said they were going to have Kiss there, this big old thing, and then they let Bischoff. They didn't let him go. They sent him home, and they went, okay, first thing, Kiss, bye. Yeah. So New Year's Evil is pretty much just a throwaway Nitro, which is unfortunate because it had a lot of potential. This New Year's Evil is going to be something really. I think it's going to be a kick-ass show.
Yeah, it should be. It's definitely being hyped up, and the big NXT events have always been really, really solid. And that Halloween Havoc show was awesome.
Yeah, I am so happy. As petty as it is, they've signed up these WCW names so Cody can't get them, right? I love Halloween Havoc. The Great American Bash was a good show because you had the Keith Lee, Adam Cole thing. That was really good. And it's would Cody prefer to have these names? Of course. Do you think that's for it? I don't think Dusty to get shit either way. Business is business, baby. But either way, they're both doing great things on these special type supercards. And I think that both shows now, the next 3 weeks, 2 weeks, have a really good shot of being something special and really making us stay tuned on Wednesday nights. It's going to be good to see.
Absolutely. Ace in his Familia vlog says the problem is people want NXT stars to get pushed right away. Like, come on, you have to earn your spot. Yeah, yep. I mean, that is a valid point. But then again, when you have the entrance music changed and the presentation changed, the stuff that people liked about the NXT characters, then you have a problem there. Like with Keith Lee, he was perfectly fine as he was in NXT. There was no need to change him. If it's not broken, don't fix it. I think that's part of the issue that people have. And with Riddle, they're really trying to make him like this stoner character. What's that movie? Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah,
that one character. What's his name?
I forget. I never seen the movie. Honestly, people are trying to compare him to. I've never seen. I really don't care. But people have been trying to compare him to Rob, and I go, where did other than the stoner relation, where do you see the Rob thing? It makes no damn sense. And no wonder Rob has to keep the guy's head off in a random.
Sean Penn was the guy in.
Sean Penn was the actor, but the character I couldn't tell you. If you told me name the character, I have no idea what the hell's name.
I mean, I've only seen it twice, but it's an 80s classic.
More times I've seen it.
I'm shocked you haven't seen it.
Dude, Aaron, put it this way. I feel so bad because I'm on with Virtue because I haven't seen the vacation movies, any of them, ever.
What?
Or Fast Times, or any of these movies. I sit there, I go, I feel like the episode of Friends where Joey's trying to learn about something to talk about. The other five are just talking about shit.
So wait, so you're just watching all these shitty wrestling shows all the time when there are some classic movies you could be watching. What is with you, Jeff?
Okay, to be fair, I did add Die Hard and the vacation movies to next year's rotation because I want to
next year. So. Why not? Why not tomorrow? It's New Year's Eve.
I'm a little busy tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Christmas Eve, excuse me. Oh yeah, you do have Dylan. So
yeah. I got to Valley an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back because his mom's got to have him. God forbid she don't. So yeah.
All right, so moving on here, we had Tyler Rust, as we mentioned earlier, against Ari Daivari, who I haven't seen in a couple of years since he was on 205 Live. I guess he's still.
Yeah, I know he's still around. That's interesting.
Yeah, he bounces around. I guess he still does 205 Live. I haven't watched 205 Live in 3 years, so I don't know what's going on with that show.
I'm so sorry, Pierce. We haven't watched it. Our bad, dude. Seriously, our bad.
Who's the Cruiserweight champion? Do you know?
I think Jordan still has a claim to it, but I'm pretty sure it's the guy that unmasked. I couldn't tell you his name for the life of me, though.
I seriously do not know who the Cruiserweight champion is in WWE right now.
Like I said, I finally brought he's claiming the title because he never lost it. But shit, I have no idea.
Anyways, We had Tyler Rust pick up a victory with his submission. We did talk about him earlier. A lot of people very high on him. Oh, Santos Escobar is the Cruiserweight champion.
Yeah,
wow.
that's right. Right. Yeah. I only remember that group because Santos has the guy formerly known as DJV and DJZ in his camp.
I am so out of the bubble with NXT. I didn't even know who the Cruiserweight champion was. That's
so bad.
It's too bad because I kind of like Santos Escobar too. There's nothing that's really stood out to me.
I do too.
And I've been focused on Dynamite.
Okay. So Aaron, before you move on, Aaron. Okay, I don't necessarily want Attitude Era stuff back, Ace. I just don't like Riddle's character, dude. Riddle's entire personality backstage, from what everybody's and what has been shown, he made me want to cheer for Goldberg and have Goldberg kick his head off. Like, I can't stand him that much, seriously. And to answer your question, no, Psycho J, like I have not seen Breakfast Club or St. Elmo's Fire, either one of those either. I'm gonna be busy doing the movies next year, clearly. So yeah,
I know what we need to do now. We need to set up a thread, maybe on Twitter, of movies that Jeff Meacham should watch in 2021. Find out which classics.
JJ's relaunching his channel mid-January, and he's doing like a whole everyday movie review. So I'll have plenty of stuff to look for reviews of to see what's good and what's not. So we'll see how he does.
All right. We had Leon Ruff interviewed backstage, and he said he's getting a rematch against Johnny Gargano for the North American Championship. That I do know. I know Gargano is the North American champion.
Right.
And he said the curse is real, and next week he's gonna regain the title. Yeah, I do not see that happening. I would be very surprised, but I'm gonna go on a limb and say that Leon.
Can we have Johnny break that curse now?
Yeah. I do not think we will be getting a title change next week. We had our main event, which was Adam Cole versus everybody's favorite wrestler, not RVD, Velveteen Dream. Really not everybody's favorite wrestler. No. Pete Dunne attacked Roderick Strong on the outside of the ring early on and hit him with the bitter end on the apron. And that led to Dream getting the upper hand. Dream jumped off the top rope, got caught with a super kick, and Cole hit another super kick in the ring, put the figure 4 on Dream. However, Dream did manage to get out of the hold, and then he hit a DDT. He went up to the top, hit his Rainmaker, purple Rainmaker elbow drop, which Cole kicked out of, and then Cole recovered from that, hit the last shot, picked up the win. Match was fine, but it's like I know WWE has no plans for Dream, so it's hard for me to care about any of his matches, knowing that they're just jobbing him out indefinitely until they either decide, well, the heat's died down enough, we can push him again, or they just cut their losses. And it's sad because Dream, a year ago, everybody was saying this guy's going to be the man. He's going to be on the main roster. He's going to be the future of WWE. He's going to be the guy to carry the company in the future. And now it's just like, what's the deal? What are you doing with him? Are you going to push him again, or are you done? You're just going to let him job out the rest of his contract, and then he'll just fade away into obscurity? Who knows? But anytime he's on TV now, I'm just like, well, why should I care? If WWE has no plans for him, why should I get invested? So that's my take on Dream at this point. Your thoughts on the match and Dream's status?
Decent match. It was okay. It's just a good Adam Cole versus Dream match. Standard fare. I told this story before, I think, with you. With a few people. I remember watching Patrick Clark on Tough Enough, and then going to that NXT house show in Bakersfield, and seeing him come out with the Dream type entrance, but not yet Velveteen Dream. He was still Patrick Clark, just had the Dream aneurysms. Wow. Okay. Slip. Hi. Mannerisms. Good Lord. And I turned to my dad. I said, "Watch, that kid's gonna be a star," and he was, until he screwed up. So,
well, allegedly screwed up.
I said aneurysms. I need a nap.
Yeah, don't we all? It's pretty late. It's been a busy week. I'm not sure if people notice. I'll call myself out. I was trying to take a sip of this water bottle with the cap on. I don't know if people caught that earlier.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
That's how like worn out I am just from getting everything ready for Christmas and TLC and Raw and just a lot of things happening. I end up I feel like I'm having an aneurysm, you know? And not to make light of it. I shouldn't have said that.
No. But it's definitely rough to have a major gimmick heavy pay-per-view and Christmas Eve and the shows before all in the same week. And, I'll tell you what, Friday we're gonna get up, do presents. I'm gonna go night until Saturday morning. Goodbye. Yeah, so over it.
All right, so that was NXT. Show was okay. It was filler.
Yeah.
I honestly thought they were going to do more because they were unopposed without the competition or spectacular show. However,
right,
did not happen. It was just a very average NXT. I'm going to give it a C. It was average.
Yeah, very average. C. Agreed. I agree.
And we'll maybe put up some of the chat room's thoughts
as they pop up. Absolutely, I'm waiting.
So AEW, going back to that question, which I have forgotten now, that's the downside to waiting until the end, because unless I put it in my notes here, I have forgotten.
Here, it was a super chat, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll find it.
Yeah, so they taped Dynamite last week, and tonight the Holiday Bash.
Keep going.
Which, based off of the spoilers, seemed like, again, filler show. Next week is the big one, night one of the New Year's Bash, right? Or New Year's Smash.
Yeah, something like that. New Year's Smash, Bash, something.
DJW with a $5 super chat says, in AEW, do you guys think that more upsets should happen in non-title matches and between ranked versus non-ranked matches for more intrigue? I'm fine with upsets because I like the unpredictability, but I also at the same time want to see guys build up momentum and not lose random matches like Timothy Thatcher. Just because I think the guy, after losing to Ciampa at the last pay-per-view, I really don't think he should be losing more. So the upset works every now and then, and I like it, but I would say it gets overdone sometimes, and sometimes it's done when it really doesn't need to be done. So the key is to find the right opportunity to do it, in my opinion.
And it really depends on the talent also. Sean Waltman doing 93, it launched him to the friggin' moon. Like, Sean Waltman became the 1-2-3 kid because of that victory over Razor. He did. As simple as that. But Jericho in that Phantom title switch 2000 in April over Triple H. Granted, not really an upset because he was a main star by then, but just the idea that he could have been the champion had it stuck. That's a cool move. But just randomly, like Leon Ruff beating Thatcher, it doesn't work for me. AEW, I think, would work because there are a lot of guys on that roster that can afford a upset to a newer guy like Orange Cassidy with Chris Jericho to a certain extent. I didn't say that whole feud was kind of back and forth for me, but Jericho losing clean to even Scorpio Sky, who's been around forever. We watched him grow up in the business, Aaron, but Scorpio beating Jericho in a tag match is huge for him personally. Cassidy beating Jericho should have been huge, but then shit with him afterwards. So, it really depends how they build after it and what they build up to.
And I'm seeing a lot of C's for NXT in the chat room. Ace and his familiar vlogs went with a B, and Daniel went with a D. Wow, that's pretty harsh. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Psycho. I appreciate it. He says, will WrestleMania be 2 nights again in 2021? What do you think, Jeff?
It really depends on where they are and who they have in the building. If they have Skeleton Crew set, then probably, just because that way they can have everybody work and get their shit in, if you will. If they have a stadium show with people at 20, like they're doing the AEW, they'll probably have it be one night or one day and just get everything in one day. That way they're not trying to do the stadium thing twice, because that's dangerous right now. It's already December 23rd, guys, and we're looking at March, the end of March. It ain't gonna happen full capacity. It's just not. Yeah. So do 25% capacity, they'll do one night. If they do closed door set, 2.
I think that's an accurate take on it. I think that if they cannot do fans or choose not to do fans, they'll do 2 nights to have something special for WrestleMania. You know, have that hook like they did last year. Too big for one night. They had to have something considering there were no fans. But yeah, I think like once they can go back to full capacity, they might go back to one night. Although I personally would prefer 2 nights. I know it's something that people have mixed thoughts on, but I prefer 2 3-hour shows instead of 1 7-hour show. But that's just me.
Yeah, even covering the show this year, my first real live watch along on the network, night 2 was still long as hell. Yeah. So it's I remember WrestleMania 2 being in 3 different times on the same night. I can't imagine those poor production guys, being in New York. Yeah, Vince and Susan in New York for how many hours when they were done in LA. Vince is a cyborg, so that's okay for him. But like for Susan and for everybody, the others, they had to be dog ass tired by then. So I can't imagine having that long of a show with that many matches on a card being one day, unless there is.
All right. Well, on that note, we will go ahead and wrap up this live stream. We are very close to Christmas. I hope everybody has a very happy and safe holiday and holiday weekend, whatever you're doing. Jeff, anything you would like to plug and promote?
Well, Merry Christmas from all of us to all of you from No DQ and the Championship Network. Aaron and I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I know my network is still fledgling, but we're doing better. Tomorrow, as a matter of fact, on Christmas Eve, I think it's going to go up around 10 o'clock a.m. my time. JJ and I have our bonus episode of Dads. We're doing the top 10 Christmas songs of our on our own playlist. That'll be tomorrow. And then we're back to normal come Monday with wrestling and all the other shows. And Aaron will be back Monday after Raw, as he do, because he'll cover Raw for you folks. So, and I'll watch it if I can, and try to follow along because Lord knows I have. Psycho Jet Black. You know what? I'm probably the only guy that's not getting bro nuts from Santa this year because I don't like the bro nuts or the Santa Claus for me. So he knows I don't like Matt Riddle. So or Riddle. Sorry, not Matt. He's not Matt anymore. He's like Madonna. He's a one name guy. Anyway, no bro nuts for me this year.
Aw.
Oh, that's okay.
All right, guys.
I got a nice computer to work with, so it's all good.
Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest, and I will be back Friday night for SmackDown, even though it is a tape show. It was a loaded show. A lot of things happened without spoiling anything. It was an eventful SmackDown, so I will be talking about it Friday night afterwards. Maybe I'll give some thoughts on Dynamite. I'm not doing anything tonight. I'm heading to bed when we're done with this.
Right.
But I'll check out Dynamite probably tomorrow and then have a video up Friday night. So stay tuned for all that. Take care, everybody. Subscribe if you haven't already and tell a friend. Spread the word, spread the love. Again, Merry Christmas, and we will see you guys next time.